Did you see that post?
People are talking.
Here's what's trending on the Rickey Smiley Morning Show.
All right, y'all, Rickey Smiley Morning Show, August the 6th, marks the 56th anniversary of the 1965 Voting Rights Act being signed into law. And still more than half a century later, state legislators in 48 states have now introduced or enacted voter suppression laws and reserving the right to overturn fair elections. Now, these legislative actions block voters' access to the ballot box or make voting more difficult, in this proportionately impacting communities of color. So joining us this morning is Majority Whip Congressman James E. Clyburn. Welcome back, Mr. Congressman. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me back, and a good morning to you.
Yes, sir. Happy to have you. Let's dive right into it. I know you've kind of been on the front lines for voting rights for decades, and so how is today's threat to our voting rights different from what leaders like you, John Lewis, Reverend Sharpton, and others experienced in the past? What do you say to the people who say that nothing has changed?
Well, I say to people that you have to really survey history. I used to teach history. I studied every day. And the thing that a lot of people miss is that in the United States of America, our history does not move on a linear plane, like you go from point A to point B to point C. No, our history has always been like a pendulum on a clock. It goes left for a while, then it goes back right for a while, then it goes back left again. And you just go down through history, and that's the way it's been. And what we have to do is stay vigilant, because we can only stop the rightward movement that's taking place in this country today by interventions at the polls. And that's why you have to stay vigilant. Look, the Supreme Court declared the Voting Rights Act of 1965 as being constitutional for years. Then all of a sudden we get a new Supreme Court, and 9 years ago in the Holder case, Shelby v. Holder, they took away Section 4, so it's now outdated. So it was good back then, but it's now outdated. And so that's what we have to keep in mind. You have to be forever vigilant. Now, I don't know that he ever said it, but Thomas Jefferson, though I have done the research and I can't find that Thomas Jefferson ever said this, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. So just because like when we elected Barack Obama, everybody said, well, we got to elect our president now. Let's go take a hiatus. Well, what happened? 2 years later, we saw what happened. So that's what's going on today. No different today than it was back then. It's just that we were more vigilant back then than we seem to be doing today.
Right. So, Congressman Clyburn, in regards to passing H.R. 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, if we don't get this passed, who is that going to impact the most, do you think?
Well, it's going to impact us the most, because what you see there in Georgia, down there in Texas, you see what all the Democrats in Texas are doing. A bunch of them up in Washington, D.C., staying out of the state to keep them getting arrested, so they won't have to make up a quorum, so Texas can pass some onerous laws that says that if we don't like the way the voters are conducting themselves at the polls, we got this little committee over here that will overturn the election. And that's what they're trying to do. It's called nullification. Go back to King's speech. Remember King Jr. made that speech way back there, 1968? That speech was all about interposition and nullification. The word there, people keep talking about, I have a dream. That's not what he was talking about. He was saying we got to go back to the South, where governors' lips are dripping with interposition and nullification. The governors in the South today, their lips are dripping with interposition and nullification, and that's why we got to pass this law so the federal government can intervene and stop Georgia from doing what they're trying to do in Fulton County right now, which is the largest black county in the state of Georgia. And that's what we got to keep our eyes focused on. All of this other stuff won't matter at all if you lose the right to vote.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, Congressman, can you please speak on how voter suppression not only impacts every American's ability to participate in our elections, but it also affects their access to health care, child care, and other support services?
Oh, yes. We elected Barack Obama. He said that he was going to give us universal access to health care. We got the Affordable Care Act. Then, all of a sudden, 2 years later, those people who are against the Affordable Care Act, we didn't show up at the polls, and they came in and they spent the next, I think they took the case to the Supreme Court 3 times. The first time 5-4, the Supreme Court said it's constitutional. Now we elect Biden. He's now improving on the Affordable Care Act. Those things that Trump tried to do, he got there. You remember the so-called sign-up period? He cut that way back. He took all the advertising out of the budget so that people wouldn't even know about the Affordable Care Act. So that was because we elected Trump. We got rid of Trump. Joe Biden comes in, and all of a sudden we've expanded the Affordable Care Act. In fact, if my memory serves, yesterday closed the immediate sign-up period with more than 1 million people, new people have signed up for the Affordable Care Act. That's all because we elected Joe Biden. If we had not elected Joe Biden, we would be right where Trump tried to take us before. So that's because of the elections.
Wow.
So, Congressman, why should everyone be concerned with what's going on in the legislature, like what's happening in states like Georgia, Arizona, and Texas?
Well, if you've got children and grandchildren, or you seek to have children and grandchildren, you want to leave to them a much better country than you found. I work every day thinking about my mother's prayers I used to hear every morning. Lord, help my children to have life a little better than I had it. And that's what we need to be working for. Then voting rights will be fundamental to all of that, trying to leave a better country for our children and grandchildren. A lot of people want to be active. They want to make headlines. They do all the tweeting and the Facebooking. And I ask them, okay, now how does that contribute to making this country better for your children and grandchildren? Come on now.
Yes, sir.
Let's do what is necessary to elect the right people and stop lying about what's going on. We just forgive the debt because of Joe Biden. We forgave the debt. Almost $40 billion in debt that HBCUs had. When they were trying to build dormitories, they got them all foreclosed on them. We forgave all of that. And then we just put $5 or $6 billion to pay back farmers. And Trump's guy filed a lawsuit trying to keep us from doing it. We are really putting this country back on track. And we ought to give support to this administration because this administration is doing what needs to be done in order to move this country forward.
And the last question, what action can listeners take to make the H.R. 4 a reality after the House passes it next week?
Well, we're going to pass a bill, and then we're going to send it over to the Senate. And I want people to pay close attention to this because what we are doing, H.R. 4 is one thing. H.R. 1 is another. And what I have been pushing the Senate to do, take a look at H.R. 4 because that will protect us with pre-clearance. And it will also help us when it comes to redistricting. Now, H.R. 1, that's the bill that the Senate has rejected. But there are some things in H.R. 1 that we think we can put into H.R. 4 and pass a comprehensive bill, name the whole thing in honor of John Lewis. And I think that if you guys continue to push the way you're pushing, and I'm talking to other talk show hosts as well, though my frat brother, I'm kind of partial to him, but I'm going to talk to the other guys. Let's go out and let's push this legislation and get people to focus on those senators that will need black votes if they plan to get reelected.
Man, thank you so much, Congressman Clyburn. We really appreciate you for joining us again today, and we appreciate your time. We know you're busy, and let everybody know how to follow you on social media.
Well, I don't keep up with all that. I know I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I don't know what the hashtag is. Just put in Jim Clyburn,
yes, sir.
And I'll pop up all over the place.
You're always welcome on the show. Proud member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I had to throw that in, Congressman. Y'all give it up a show. Yes, sir. Congressman James Clyburn, y'all. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. I appreciate you. Yes, sir. More Rickey Smiley Morning Show coming up.